Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajeem. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Assalamualaikum. Ji ayanu, pakhair agale, ni hao, chude shumme, washmale, ohaya gonzaimas, guten morgen, hola, bonjour, privyet, kaifa hal, hale shuma chatore, ahlan wa sahlan, marhaba, buna, mucho, gracias, suavia, balli kriya, hosh keldin. And thank you very much, everybody, for tuning into PT World. You're definitely watching World this morning, alongside my very well-learned colleague and a very wonderful reader herself, who happens to be Miss Haja Sati. I happen to be Shahzad Hassan Khan, and we hope and pray that everybody out there is doing wonderfully well and that you're ready to kickstart your day with us. But first things first, hello Hajra, how are you doing today?
Assalamu alaikum and hosh bolduk. And I really like, how you literally interpreted kick-starting your day with a little bit of kick. Shahzad, I really wanted to share a book review with the viewers and with you.
I know that you certainly did wanted to share a review as well, but why is it that, a colleague of mine is not asking whether if I'm doing well or not and, what's going on?
Because I know you're doing well. You always seem well.
I'm sorry,
right?
I was just pulling your leg. Please continue.
Okay. So today I decided to share a book called Bird Without Wings, right?
Okay.
So it is written by Louis de Bernier and it's a fictional book, right? And I really love, how many themes have been played into this book. There is no particular one protagonist, which is continuing the story. So the story is fixed in a fictional town called Eskibaje, which is in eastern Anatolia in Turkey, right?
Yeah, and it's all fictional.
It's fictional, right? And it's in the waning days of the Ottoman Empire, and there's conflicting stories going on. There's one story where this guy called Ibrahim, he's a Muslim, and he's engaged to a Christian girl called Philothi, and she's famed for her beauty there.
Wow.
So the town is a very multicultural, multi-ethnic town. There are Greeks living there, there are Armenians living there, there are Christians who are living there, Jews and, other people
peacefully?
from different... Yes, very peacefully. And it is one of the very, theme of the Ottoman Empire, that there was a tolerance there at that time, and especially in the waning days. So then the World War I starts in, and, then there's the rise of Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, and then, he sketches the theme of, very overzealous nationalism. And for people who know me, they know that I am very ardent fan of Allama Iqbal, and he's always very critical of, nationalism, because he says that such kind of ideologies are always very polarizing, because, then people say that us versus them and stuff like that. So for all of there who are very much interested into the Ottoman Empire, into the fiction, please go and read this book, because it's one of my favorite.
Well, that's wonderful. But yes, obviously, if you're in love with Dr. Allama Muhammad Iqbal Sahab, and then, you talk about this book, I think there's going to be a conflict. But please make sure that you still do go.
No, they actually, transpires into that ideology. There's no conflict in there.
All right, well, that's wonderful. I think for everybody who's out there, ladies and gentlemen, if early morning you were thinking of reading a good book, well, here's a suggestion. Thank you very much, Hajra, for doing it wonderfully well as well. But for everybody who's out there, ladies and gentlemen, obviously, I think these stories and fictions, they will always help you in kind of making sure that, that you kind of get to know about the history.
Right.
But I think about today, we really need to get to know from the news, right?
Right,
And you know what news stands for? I think you would know it, right?
News
if I'm not putting you under the spot.
Of something.
Yes, all right. So, I think my producer has been really very smart as well. So, news, ladies and gentlemen, means north, east, west, and south, which means that, you gather everything and then you get to know. So, ladies and gentlemen, here's us sharing the north, east, west, and south of this very planet we call Earth as well. First things first, let's see what's happening within Pakistan. What is our most efficient Prime Minister up to these days as well? So, ladies and gentlemen, imagine that Prime Minister Muhammad Shahbaz Sharif says that the joint venture of Chinese industry and technology with Pakistan's labor and investment will create a win-win situation for both countries by boosting their production and exports. In an interview with the representatives of Chinese media, he said the two countries are moving toward the second phase of China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, comprising regional cooperation and industrialization through establishing the industrial zones.
Wow. And the Prime Minister also said in the form of CPEC, Pakistan has been the first beneficiary of the Belt and Road Initiative of President Xi Jinping. And he, replying to a question, he said that CPEC projects faced some hiccups during last 3 years to 4 years, but the incumbent government is resolved to take it to Pakistan's speed to fill the gap. And this is why he's famous for, right?
Yes.
His governance speed and the reforms that's going on inside the country. And to another question, he also said that enemies cannot digest the close China-Pakistan ties, but reiterated his government's resolve to ensure security of Chinese nationals in the country.
Wow, that's just wonderful, and thank you very much for pinpointing where the problems were. And in the last 3 to 4 years, yes, we might have experienced some hiccups too as well. But alhamdulillah, finally, we're back on track. Thank you very much to the Prime Minister of Islamic Republic of Pakistan, Mr. Mian Shahbaz Sharif Saab as well. But now moving on, I think we really need to appraise and we really need to appreciate the efforts of our foreign minister as well. And it's just because of the fact that, ladies and gentlemen, at such a younger age, the kind of content he's coming up with and the kind of speeches he has made will always make sense for Pakistan and Muslims like us as well, all over the globe. So imagine that the Foreign Minister, Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, apprised the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres of the ongoing Islamophobic actions by India's ruling party, BJP, in particular, the derogatory remarks recently made by two of its senior officials towards the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto Zardari held a telephonic conversation with the Secretary General of the United Nations. The Foreign Minister underscored that such willful and deliberate provocation had deeply hurt the sentiments of billions of Muslims around the world.
And you also urged the Secretary General to take cognizance of this abhorrent development amidst the rising tide of hate speech and Islamophobia in India. The Foreign Minister noted that despite the international denunciation of BJP officials, sacrilegious remarks, the failure of the top BJP leadership and Indian government to unequivocally condemn it was deeply disappointing and pointed to their complicity. So, Shahzad, I always say that there's a very fine line between the free speech and the hate speech. And I do feel that, nowadays there's a lot of focus on the rights of the people, and people don't know that there are certain responsibilities which come with those rights. So there's a concerted effort at the de-responsibilitization which is going on around the globe, right?
Exactly. And Hajra, thank you very much for saying that, because you will never ever find any Muslim over here in Pakistan passing on derogatory remarks about, whatever the Hindus might like to do as well, or whatever the Christians might like to praise, or, probably do ibadah for as well, so it's none of our concern. But God forbid we does not really want to give any liberty to any individual on this planet to say anything against our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and it shall not be like this anymore.
And I would really like to share a Quranic verse that I came across, and I was really inspired by it. Said that Allah says that do not insult anyone else God except they do that, and that too out of arrogance, you know. So how much, Islam emphasizes that you should not, pass derogatory remarks about others' religions or other religious sentiments. And this is very, inspiring for me.
So be careful, be careful, be careful. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen, where obviously we talked about how news stands for North, East, West and South. So the West comes to the East as well. I think that's something which is really important to share over here. As the US President Joe Biden will visit Saudi Arabia next month for bilateral talks and meet with the country's leader, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, as part of an itinerary that includes Israel and the West Bank. The trip comes as the president seeks to bring down rising gas prices caused in part by US and European Union sanctions against Russian oil exports over its invasion of Ukraine. Biden has denied that the long-discussed visit to Saudi Arabia will primarily be aimed at getting the Saudis to pump more oil, but other U.S. officials have acknowledged that oil is an important factor. Biden will address human rights, but the visit is largely aimed at repairing relations after Biden in 2019 referred to Saudi Arabia as a...
Right, as an important oil factor, right?
Exactly. Biden will address... Yes, and other big issues to be discussed on the trip include the civil war in Yemen, where the Saudis have helped achieve a ceasefire, and shared concerns about Iran's progress in developing its nuclear program.
Right. So that's an interesting development which is going on, and I think that with the kind of concerts that Saudi Arabia has been holding, it definitely wants to change its outlook.
Exactly. Not just that, I think they really need to pump more oil, and it's because of the fact that the rising oil prices, as just yesterday, a few days ago as well, so I was at the petrol station. I was like, hey, you know what, after every 2 days I have to go to the petrol station, why not fill it up? And I'm not going to fill it up anytime sooner. So I've parked the car right in the front and I'm using somebody else's car as well. I'm like, okay, do you have fuel in it? All right, I'm probably going to jump in it. And that's it, I'm going to drive it around. So my father was looking at me wondering whether, for how long is he going to take advantage of me being around as well? I will, obviously, you happen to be my father and I call you Abu, obviously. So I'll be definitely doing that. Moving on. Now, I think this is a very interesting record which we are sharing as well. It was previously held by a Pakistani as well. So imagine that the Australian blind cricket opening batter Stephen Nero has scored a world record 309 not out of 140 balls against New Zealand in Brisbane. Nero's triple century breaks the world record of 262 not out set by Pakistan's Masood Jan at the 1998 Blind Cricket World Cup. Brisbane is currently hosting the International Cricket Inclusion Series, with the national blind squad playing 5 T20 and 3 one-day international matches against New Zealand. Australia is leading the series 6-0, with 2 ODIs to be played before the series concludes on Friday. The record-breaking innings saw Nero smash 49 fours and 1 6 hit with a reverse sweep on the first delivery. Wow. Nero, you've definitely outdone everybody on this planet, because when we talk about blind cricket scoring a triple century, I mean, people cannot do it with ice. So how have you done it? Yes.
Right, that's quite, I think, a remarkable record to make. And moving on.
It's been too hot recently, yes.
It's crazy hot, and I think we are literally feeling the brunt of, what's going on around the world, especially when it comes to the climate change and the warming of the planet. So weather. Mainly very hot and dry weather is expected in most plain areas of the country during the next 24 hours, alas. And according to Met Office, gusty dust-raising winds are likely in the South Punjab and Upper Sindh, with rain, wind, thunderstorm in Upper Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, South Punjab, Gilgit-Baltistan, Kashmir and its adjoining hilly areas during evening and night. And Met Office said a shallow westerly wave is present over the upper parts of the country, and moist currents from the Arabian Sea are penetrating southern part of the country. So, Shahzad, when it comes to the climate change, I think Antonio Guterres very clearly said that this is the code red for humanity, and we need to do more, and we need to walk the talk instead of, holding on summits and then doing nothing on it. And, the poor countries, the developing one, are actually, feeling the heat, and they're actually bearing the brunt of
exactly, and thank you very much for saying that, because there are obviously a few developed countries who does not really kind of align with the protocols in place as well, just because they want their industry to grow as well. And imagine that, when we talk about developing countries where the industry is non-existent almost, because, if we are going to talk about Pakistan, ladies and gentlemen, the contribution is 0.1 or 0.2%, it's just equal to zero. I mean, imagine, but at the same time, we are the ones who are being affected as well. So I think everybody needs to come on the same platform or the same page, and then kind of think about it, just like brothers and sisters do. It is a world, we'll live together. There's no other way that we're going to live. So please make sure, let's live peacefully, and let's live in a colder world, all right? Not such a hotter world as well. But now, very quickly, so Haja, this is one of the most important days we are observing today, and I believe that there was a sheer need for us to talk about such a topic, because the trend has been increasing recently, even though Pakistan is largely populated by youngsters. 60% of the population is youngsters, ladies and gentlemen. Imagine, so then obviously another 20%, we take it from 30 to 50, but from 50 onwards, obviously there's 10 to 15% of population or 20% population. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are actually going to observe Elder Abuse Awareness Day as well, and I believe it's so important that imagine that most of the times our parents would never complain that, hey Shahzad, you know what, you said something wrong and it had an effect or a negative impact on me. They would never say that. They would always take the brunt of it as well. And they would be, and then the children at the same time, maybe because of the economic issues, imagine that they cannot take their parents for treatments. Things are expensive these days, inflation is on and rise. And then half of the time, when you get married, you look after your children more, and then you look after your wife more.
Right, or maybe it can be an external factors, might be they're witnessing the abusive behavior going on around their homes, when they were little, and they're emulating that exactly, especially on their parents.
I've been talking about any Pakistani household, don't you think that, your parents have actually fought quite a lot, or I know my parents have fought quite a lot as well.
I mean, fighting is one thing, it does happen in our relationships, but then, hitting out and, being more physical and abusing other partner, I think that happens, and it is very stigmatized in that terms that people don't talk about it.
And that does happen, and not just that, just very recently we have seen a couple of videos, in fact, so many videos where, their children hitting their parents as well, just because of the fact that his mother or probably his wife had a fight, or probably other way around as well. So it can be either way. So imagine, we really need to raise awareness. What do we need to do? Even though when we talk about the prevalence of elder abuse, it is from 1% to 10%, and it comes within the developing countries and the developed countries as well. And which is why now I think that that developed countries moving on to having old homes is because of the fact that they might have seen this trend increasing. But that's not a solution for us as Muslims. Imagine that in every prayer we make a dua, and even if not, Rabbi Rahamhuma Kama Rabbi Ani Saghira, we are always asking from the religious aspect of it for our parents, Allah please, the way when we were babies they looked after us, please look after them when they are older enough as well. Imagine, we have been told ke uf tak mat kaho apne walidain ke samne, do not even say.
And even if you are praying, if your mother calls you, you have to answer that.
Exactly. Even Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that, if I was offering my Isha prayer and my mother called me, I would break the prayer, go to my mother, attend her first, and then come back. People have earned Jannah, ladies and gentlemen. Sahaba has earned Jannah by just kind of being in the feet of their parents as well. And they say, "Maa ke paon ke niche Jannat hai." So what stops you from doing so, and what kind of makes you or pushes you to be full of abuse towards parents? Because let me tell you one thing. This is something which my father used to tell me, and I wanted to be out there. I'm going to say it in Urdu. So they say, Ba-da ba-nasib. I'm not going to say the later part of it because even my father never shared it with us. It is, by the way, Ba-da ba-nasib, be-da be-nasib, God forbid. So the person who's actually going to be very obedient to their parents, ladies and gentlemen, he will get all the success in this world and the world hereafter. Write it down wherever you want to write it down, and this is a 100% promise from Allah Almighty as well. But to give out the details, we obviously have a small report to share. Go ahead, take a listen. When you guys will come back, we're very lucky that we've been joined by psychologists, and we've actually been joined by law experts as well. How can we control this menace, God forbid, if it is growing? Is it growing? That's the question we really need to identify or rectify in the first place. Let's go. Let's take a look.
The World Elder Abuse Awareness Day happens each year on June 15. It was officially recognized by United Nations General Assembly in its resolution in December 2011. Elder abuse can be defined as a single or repeat act or lack of appropriate action occurring within any relationship where there is an expectation of trust which causes harm or distress to an older person. It is a global social issue which affects the health and human rights of millions of older persons around the world, and an issue which deserves the attention of the international community. In many parts of the world, elder abuse occurs with little recognition or response. Until recently, this serious social program was hidden from the public view and considered mostly a private matter. Even today, elder abuse continues to be a taboo, mostly underestimated and ignored by societies across the world. Evidence is accumulating, however, to indicate that elder abuse is an important public health and societal problem. Elder abuse is a problem that exists in both developing and developed countries, yet is typically underreported globally. Prevalence rates of estimates exist only in selected developed countries, ranging from 1% to 10%. Although the extent of elder mistreatment is unknown, its social and moral significance is obvious. As such, it demands a global, multifaceted response, one which focuses on protecting the rights of older persons. From a health and social perspectives, unless both primary healthcare and social service sectors are well equipped to identify and deal with the problem, elder abuse will continue to be underdiagnosed and overlooked.
So ladies and gentlemen, obviously we really need to work together and we really need to optimize the living conditions. But first things first, how do we raise awareness? Why is this day important? What is the significance of this day? And to talk about all of this, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by somebody who happens to be from Maroof International Hospital, ladies and gentlemen. She happens to be a clinical psychologist, and this is the second time that she's on the show. And she was like, hey, you know what? Give me more time to speak. I was like, okay, I will. She is Dr. Sadaf Irfan. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Thank you so much for calling. Actually, why I said that, because I have like structured the whole program. Okay, as a therapist, how can I contribute in society?
And it's wonderful. Thank you very much for joining us. Alongside her,
me.
ladies and gentlemen, we're lucky that we've actually been joined by a law expert who happens to be an advocate, and she is Ms. Tania Bazay. Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Thank you very much for joining us. Wonderful to have you. But let's get started with the conversation. Do you think this is an important day to observe? I believe it is.
This is very important day. वो और बात है कि we don't even consider this, or we don't have insight about this. कि the emotional abuse or the elder abuse, basically we are doing in general life. So this is very important, and in other countries they are like celebrating this day, and they are like working on this. They are passing the laws and all of
It's
these
all right.
things. Sorry.
You have to wish birthday to someone.
Yeah. So.
Go on.
Okay, so this is, I guess, this is very first time in Pakistan that we have talked about this topic, and I'm really grateful to you that you have just popped up, this thing, and with the, like with the fluency of show, we will discuss. We are going to discuss a lot of important things about it.
Inshallah,
and yes.
inshallah. Thank you very much for saying that. I just wanted to move on to Ms. Tania, and then you can take over. And that is that obviously we know that it is an important day, and we know people around us who might have done that as well. I've seen arrogant children, who really does not even listen to their parents at all, even though every time the parents are talking about is their safety, their health, and they're always chasing them as well. And there can be exceptions. I'm not saying that, every parent out there is a 100% good parent, but still, as children, we are still supposed to respect them. Now, when we talk about child abuse, there's a lot of work which has been done on child abuse. When we talk about harassment, when we talk about, working conditions in the working environment, there's a lot of work which has been done.
Right.
But do you think you have ever come across such a clause where the rights of the elderly people are being protected?
I am in this profession from last 7 years.
MashaAllah.
But in these 7 years, I haven't come through any case regarding elder abuse. And I'm shocked that people, either they don't have awareness, or either they don't want to knock the door of courts.
True.
So the first step is we should spread the awareness among our people. On international level, it is celebrated, but in Pakistan, I think in the history, for the first time I have been in this program, and I saw that it's celebrated for the first time in history.
Exactly.
So the awareness is must, so that the parents should know. We have a protection ordinance bill to 2021, but it's not implemented as it used to be.
Okay.
We have sections there, and the sections are very strict. And
so would you mind sharing the details of all the sections as well, for the awareness of elderly if they're out there? So,
Yes.
हमारे जितने भी बुजुर्ग हैं पाकिस्तान के, we're doing this for you. God forbid if you're in a condition where you don't know how to get out of this very ill condition or situation,
Right.
Well, we have a solution for you. Please go ahead.
According to Constitution, Section 89, there was an amendment in 2021. The government passed a bill. When the bill is passed from one house, it is called ordinance. When the bill is passed from two houses, it converts into act.
Exactly.
Ordinance is a bit weak regarding act. Ordinance is implemented temporary. So if you read section 4 of this ordinance, it's clearly mentioned that the parent can evict their children from the house.
Right.
They have the right, they have the authority, and the jurisdiction is deputy commissioner. Within 7 to 14 days, the deputy commissioner of that city has to conclude this all process within 7 to 14 days.
Right.
And the second jurisdiction is of the judicial magistrate.
If it's the house of the children, then do you think that the situation is going to vary?
Yes, obviously. Then how can they evict
So
their
they
parents
cannot-
from
so
the
that's
house?
what I'm talking about. So obviously there's psychological pressure.
There's
The
psychological
parents would be
pressure,
like-
emotional pressure, there are sentiments attached.
Which is why we're going to move on to Dr. Saiba over here. So Dr.
Yes.
Saiba, let's talk about these pressures
Okay,
in the
first
first
of
place.
all, I just want to say that we need to understand what is elderly abuse.
True.
Right.
People don't have insight. Anything said forcefully, even like intentionally, like we say things or we don't say. We think that if you are not saying anything to our parents, that means you are nice, or we are no, this is abuse as well. So basically what, like we were talking in break, that nobody is talking about the emotional abuse. There are
For
seven
example,
types of
yelling-
abuse. Yes,
yelling-
I'm coming to that point. Basically, there are 7 types of abuse. It's like, one is psychologically, physical abuse, sexual abuse, neglect. Even elder, they neglect themselves as well,
True.
So it's social abuse. So we need to understand what is physical. In physical abuse, especially like children or family members, they like yell or they hit their parents. So this is a physical abuse, right? When they are reporting to ERs or the hospital setting and they got bruises or something, they don't mention even our parents, or might be this is society or our religion or something. They are so kind that they don't want to report it as an abuse.
True.
Yes, so this is the physical abuse. Then the psychological abuse, if we talk about, if you are not listening to your parents or your grandparents, if you're not responding to, if the grandparent or your mother is texting you every day that, you know, you have to bring my medicines, you forgot yesterday, very nicely, very kindly they are giving you gentle reminders. This is even includes, you know, as a psychological and emotional abuse, because they are that's their need. So when it comes to, like, there are other things like sexual abuse, people are hitting, even in nursing home or hospital settings, the nursing staff, if they are abusing the clients, the patients, because they don't talk. Might be they are in that condition, they are not able to talk, they are in depression or they are in anxiety. So this, and they are not reporting as well, and the staff, they even know that, you know, ye budiya ya ye buddha, ye cheez, they are not going to report this. So this is the thing. And the other thing is neglect. We are neglecting our elders, you know. And the other thing which is very important, I need to discuss, that elders, they also neglect themselves.
True. They
Right?
do not prioritize
They don't prioritize themselves, because I also want to discuss how they can stop the abuse, because it's very easy to say this is culture, I'm sorry, this is society, everybody is doing that. We call it emotional abuse. और हम छोटी सी चीज़ घर में discuss करते हैं. For instance, if a person is saying कि, you know, I have this opinion that we should do, we should solve this family matter like this, you know, and the grown up son or daughter, she says, no Abbaji, ऐसे नहीं होगा, आप इस बात को समझ नहीं रहे, you have to look into this factor or this. What is this? This is emotional abuse. We are not even talking about it. So we are doing it. We are abusing people on daily basis. It's not just elderly. So we are abusing elders, and elders are abusing us. So this is a vicious cycle. This is a pattern running in society. So we need to change it by giving awareness. What are even the youngsters, the children, they need to understand what is elder abuse and what are the types of abuse, because जब तक उनको नहीं पता चलेगा, they are not going to understand this thing. And on the other side, the elders, they need to understand what are, like, why we are getting abused. This is legal. We cannot do the self pity thing. What if a patient is coming to me and saying कि डॉक्टर साहब, you know, मेरे बच्चे ये कर रहे हैं, they are doing this to me, they are like yelling at me, or they are, I was so kind, I was providing them everything, you know, I worked for them, मैंने ना दिन देखा है ना रात देखी है. So these are the things I tell them. What if it be you, what will you say? Okay, we can keep crying on that, you know, let them do that.
Am I the elderly over here? Or am I
No, I'm just telling you, I'm just trying to explain the concept. So this is the thing, when they are coming to me, what I do, I tell them that we cannot do the self-pity thing. We have to stop this abuse. We have the different strategies which we can use and stop this abuse. No matter, I'm not saying you should leave your kids. I'm not saying कि आप साया उनसे हटा लें. I'm not saying कि you should. So these are the other factors. If you want me to discuss, I can discuss, like, how they can stop the abuse.
Wonderful.
Okay, so
right.
You want to start?
Right. So I really wanted to ask you, and both of you can answer. So what is the fine line, you know, between the healthy discharge of expression, you know? So just like Shahzad said, that it might be the inflation or some economic pressure or something at the job, you know, that the kids are, you know, maybe yelling or they're frustrated because of that. And where does that become very abusive? You know, both of you, any one of you can, you know, answer that.
Okay. You want to talk or I can talk? Okay. Acha. So first thing is that there are the ethical and moral values. You know, every family has, we in Pakistan, we are having mostly the joint family system. Right. You know, this is like Abibi, it's
common.
It's common. So there are the things, you are stressed, your boss is very, you know, cranky, or you are very disturbed, your partner is toxic, or your children you have a lot of responsibilities. These things, there should be the programs in, you know, which we can guide parents how to channelize their stress and anger. Anger management, they should, you know, or government can work on these things. Even we psychologists, we can, you know, if you people are giving us the platform, so we can discuss on TV shows or the campaigns. We can arrange the campaigns and we can tell them how to you know,
Create
do
the
the
awareness,
yes. Plus the other thing I want to discuss, that parents are the role models.
Okay.
If we talk about elders now, parents are the role models, and kids, they are not, you know, they see everything, they notice everything. Like today I was leaving home and my kid said, Mama, आप तो कहती हैं कि पानी बैठ के पीना चाहिए, and you're running, you know, and I'm not just giving an example. And then I said, oh, I'm sorry, you know, and then I sat down, and then I had to say, just to be. मैं जो भी हूँ, whatever I am. Now I have to, because मैं उनको I gave birth to them,
and they will certainly
and
do
I
what
have
you
yes
want
I have to do that thing. I have to be role model.
Exactly.
And the basic thing is the language. The language we are using at home, whatever language is your mother tongue, please be nice, be kind, be ethical, be moral while talking. Aap, janab, you know, sir, ma'am, this is in your grooming, so that they should know that everybody has their self-respect and their individuality and their age. If you have you ever like read psychosocial stages of Erik Erikson? He has explained everything. 2 years say for 5 years tak, what are our responsibilities, then teen, then in the role confusion, and then elderly, what should be the responsibilities of people at this age,
and we will certainly come back to that, but I really want to move on to Ms. Tanya over here. Obviously, first of all, we want you to, you know, share your thoughts on this, the question Ms. Hajasati posted as well. And then I certainly want to ask you, you know, because we do have family courts, you know, when a lot of parents are actually not talking about their condition at home, you know, or they're not prioritizing themselves or their lives over their children. God forbid, if a neighbor gets to know that, hey, you know what, that, you know, that elderly abuse actually exists in a house right next to me, do you think anybody else can help them or come to their rescue? Please answer that.
According to our law, I told you that we have an ordinance, parental protection ordinance, and that parental protection ordinance is limited till maintenance, maintenance of the parents, not beyond that. So if someone is suffering, for instance, my neighbors, they have some problem with their parents, they are violent or they are abusive, then I can file a complaint to the deputy commissioner.
All right.
If the situation is very crucial, very serious, then I can go for that.
Right.
But if the parents go themselves,
these days are so busy, I don't know whether they will attend to such an abuse.
You can see nowadays it's a Kulli Kacheri in they are I think playing
so
a very good role.
So how do we reach out to the DC office in the first place? I think that's very important.
No, it's not that difficult to reach the DC office.
Really? I
mean,
we can reach over
file
there,
the complaint there.
They have an open door.
We can go with her.
Now these days it's open Kacheri. You can go and you can file your complaint in open air.
And
he's
that's
sitting there. Yeah, he'll look after that.
The person will always be there to kind of listen to us and then comply to that.
Yes, these days you can see on social media how active they are. Hamza Shafqat, he did very good work.
Yeah.
Right.
In the previous government, yes.
Yes, and this the new one,
yes,
he's also.
We do trust the bureaucracy and the system, and yes, you know, it was just.
And the second option, you have the judiciary to knock the door of judiciary, of the judicial magistrate.
All right, so the neighbors can even come to your help.
If the situation is crucial, it's very serious then.
All right, that's wonderful. Now I have got another important aspect to talk about. Now let's talk about what are the problems and why do you think this elderly abuse exists. Number one, God forbid if your parents are rich, you know, I don't know, the kids cannot certainly sort it out in between themselves, and you know they will start to fight and be like, मुझे मेरा हिस्सा दे दे or something. I don't know. You know, I mean, first of all,
behavior was not regulated that much. You know.
Exactly. And first of all, I think if you have such kids, you know, who certainly in your life have been asking about your money, you really need to kick them out in the first place because they're not useful and they won't be useful ever as well. Number two, let's talk about how when families grow, obviously there are certain problems. Number three, it can be other way around as well, because what happens is that, you know, for example, if you are to make your parents understand and you are doing it nicely, imagine that they have their own truth to themselves, and or probably they fabricate it, or one of them, you know, either the kid or the parents are fabricating it, that no, this is not fair, मैं तो जो कहता हूँ मुँह पे कह देता हूँ, you know, things like that. And you know, so it is that vicious cycle which everybody is going to come into it as well. Then obviously there's comparison, competition. Then there are other people who've done better in life. God forbid if your parents haven't. God forbid elderly parents, they're sick and you're not economically or financially balanced. That's another issue. You know, you're doing something for your kids. You know, you're not doing it for your parents. They observe that too as well. So, you know, so we I think have lost that patience. We have lost to, that concept of giving space. We have lost that concept of, yeah, hey, you know what, we can do it,
As
we can
it
sort
is
it
said,
out.
the more you get older, the more you become a child.
Right.
Yeah.
So we should treat them as children, our
Only
child.
if we are able to, so we
Right.
really need to be in the shoes of the kids as well, because they're going to be so many examples from different walks of life.
And I
there
think
are people,
parents should give maximum time to their children. And this is happening
do.
because of the space.
They do
I
actually.
think it's the children who need to give
why
maximum time to
we
their
need
parents.
to be rescued all the time?
True.
हम कब तक बच्चे रहेंगे? We need to grow up. We need to take our responsibilities.
I don't feel like growing up, Dr. Sahiba.
I get
What's the
it.
problem with
This is. I get it. I understand. I'm not targeting you, but I'm just discussing this. You are understanding very well, and I can. This topic is really close to my heart as well, and I try my best to practice. My parents, whatever they have done, that's their thing. They gave me education, they gave me every facility, so this is my responsibility that I have to groom myself according to the mahal environment, everything. So you see, when you go out, you meet a lot of bad people and good people. You have to identify, you have to again I'm saying this is all about ethical and moral values.
Right, and
Right?
also how do we, create the safe spaces for our kids to, they can discharge the ugliest emotions, like that, without them becoming abusive.
As a parent, we should sit with our children.
Right.
At least it's not like आपने plan किया and you have to sit and you have to talk about things. No,
That's difficult.
it's like daily basis पे you communicate. Hey, how was your day? What you have done? Okay, did you meet your friend? How are they? So you are basically trying to give them that platform where you can come to your parents and discuss everything.
It means the more a parent is lenient,
Yes.
the more the children
Friendly.
will be closer to them. The
True.
more parents are strict, the children, they will never come
And
closer.
I
to
think
Yeah, I
this
think
is
I'm
even
going to
more
agree to
necessary.
that. But my parents.
My mother, she's very lenient and open mind. I even share everything with her. Everything.
I think I'm going to bring the cat out of the bag as well.
Okay,
So imagine
yes,
I've
yes.
been beaten till the third semester of my university every single day,
Yeah.
and I'm still closer to my parents. So I'm not going to agree to this theory as well. And now I imagine that, hey, you know what, it was for my well-being as well. But I think let's come down to the most important aspect of it. How do
But
we?
Shehzad, you cannot compare your era with the era of your kids.
Not obviously,
Right.
ये तो Hazrat Ali का call है. But what I'm going to say over here is that imagine that richer the parents, lesser the problem, lesser
Yes.
the abuse. You're going to
Yes.
agree to it?
Yes, yes,
obviously.
totally
Yes.
agree.
And when
Yes.
parents are at a situation where they're going to dispense all of their luxuries to their kids, there won't be
I
any
just,
problem.
I just want to discuss one
Sure.
very important thing.
And solutions
that-
as well.
Yes, solution as well. Because the more rich they are, the more problems they occur. Why? Because when they are rich, they have freedom, they have money. The first thing in society is drug abuse. People are, the young generation, even parents be. It's not like, we are not talking about my parents or your parents, about societal. This is societal issue. So drug abuse is something where you lose control. You have behavioral issues. If we listen to this, I heard story, or as a therapist, I daily, look into these cases that son has like broke the leg of father, or
Really?
yes, a
So
lot.
why doesn't the
Traumatized.
hospital report such cases? I think the hospitals need to take up this responsibility
Mostly are
themselves.
unreported.
I think because parents also feel very conflicted, between their desire to protect their children and also to
Yes, this is, I told you
report
this, these are the
abuse.
patterns. We
Right.
need to change, because we don't, as a parent and as an elders, we don't have insight how to, because we want change,
And in addition to that, let's be fair, because most of the time problems arise when, the son gets married or the daughter gets married. And what
Yeah.
happens is that, if I, being myself the son, I'm going to expect from my wife that she's going to look after my parents the way I am going to look after, or I used to, that cannot happen. Hey, you know what, let's just get out of this. I've seen a lot of times, women going to other places, looking rishtas for their sons as well, be like, oh, मैं बेटी बना के रखूंगी. See, stop calling her your बेटी, and stop calling the
cannot
other
be
guy
your
your
बेटी.
son as
हाँ.
well. जो आपकी बेटी है उनके साथ रहे और उनके साथ वो वाले रिश्ते बनाए. And it is important to say it in Urdu because of the fact that I want people to understand.
yes.
वो बहू कभी बेटी नहीं हो सकती. You will never get that feeling. और वो दामाद आपका बेटा नहीं हो सकता. There can be exceptions, not that they can't be. But please make sure it's your parents are your responsibility. Your parents are not your wife's or anybody else's responsibility. You have to fulfill it, and if you will fulfill it, you will get the benefits here and the world hereafter as well. Very quickly, solutions, please.
Okay. solution for like how to
how to protect elderly.
Okay, how to protect. Like I want to discuss how they can protect themselves, which is very important. First of all, they need to have that awareness that there is these type of abuse, like physical abuse, psychological abuse, financial abuse. People have reported that, especially elder people, they are coming to me when they report every time that we have been financially strained by our children. True. If I am calling or texting or telling that I need medication or I have to go for my pension, sometimes they take it and they keep it with themselves. True. This is financial abuse. So for me, like I would suggest elders, as a psychotherapist, that you should plan your retirement. Think how you are going to live your life after your retirement. So you have to take charge of it. It's very okay. The parents are always givers, and the children are always, mostly they are takers. So fine, it's good to be givers, but you have to plan your life. And I would suggest everybody to read the psychosocial studies of many psychologists, especially Eric Erikson. What are your responsibilities of your age, in which age you are in. So this is very important. One, awareness. Second, understanding of abuse. Third is, don't isolate yourself. Don't do self-pity. If you're old, that doesn't mean you are useless or you are worthless or you have done your job. No, we need your saya. True. Till end. You are very important. True. For us. Your duaein, your buzurgi, it's something, it's priceless. We cannot do that, So we are going to be parents. We are going to be old. Yes. So this is the thing that plan, don't isolate, have company, and especially you can transfer the skills,
I think
as
all
well.
the elderly need to have one WhatsApp group.
Yes.
This is going on, go out,
Add me
share.
as well, huh?
And apart from the WhatsApp groups, so there are a lot of support groups, especially in the abroad, and it's very important to have support groups because you do not feel isolated and you can feel share your problems with other people, and that helps you a lot. And I think this concept is very much missing in Pakistan, in that.
Yes, it is. And this is exactly what I did because, when the COVID broke out, and I was in England at my home as well. And, so what we did was that the street I made all the contacts come in one group, and if the elderly needed anything, so we were out there making sure that we give them what they require as well. But very quickly, I want you to give out a message for people out there, who might be going through abuse every single day. I want you to reassure to them that, hey, there are solutions legally and lawfully as well.
Yeah, there are solutions legally and lawfully, and we will make much more strict laws regarding parental protection, and we need help of our parliamentarians, government, civil society, media, and all of us should come on one platform to work for parental protection.
Exactly, that's wonderful. Thank you very much, Ms. Tani, for being with us. Thank you very much, Dr. Saiba, for being with us. Lovely to be in conversation. And ladies and gentlemen, I think here we have another important point, and it's not just about your parents, it's about that elderly guard at your gate. It's about that elderly waiter out there as well. It's that elderly valet driver. Anybody elderly whom you're actually misbehaving with is something which you really need to stop by as well. Please make sure that you look into yourself, because whatever you're doing exactly to the elderly, the younger generations to come will exactly do the same with you as well. And that's what you call karma. It's going to come back and bite you as well. But for everybody else, other than that, I think we really need to move on to another good news, because we spoke about WhatsApp. Right. So imagine, Haja, that if I, share a casting call with you over a WhatsApp, would you kind of take it seriously?
Okay, so I don't feel that, I have acting skills, but I would definitely, share it with someone, who I feel that have a good acting skills.
Imagine, so Miss Marvel's going to come out as well. We're very lucky that Canadian Pakistani Miss Villani is a part of it as well. And, a lot of Pakistanis have recently featured in it. Imagine that, Shay Gill's song is coming up as well. Imagine that Piche Hut song from Hassan Reem and Talal Qureshi is being featured in it as well.
Also, there's a lot of hype around, how Muslims are being represented in actually the Hollywood, apart from that very stereotypical.
And what, on the red carpet, they were like, what's the Desi dish? And somebody spoke about bhindi as well. And, so imagine Marvel's first Pakistani superhero, Marvel's upcoming film. Miss Marvel is one of the most anticipated movies in Pakistan. Iman Vellani, a Canadian citizen of Pakistani descent, is playing the lead role of Kamala Khan in the movie. How she got this role is an interesting story. Iman Vellani says that she got the role through WhatsApp. It so happened, All right, and it so happened that one day her aunt sent her a casting call from Marvel via WhatsApp. When Iman arrived for the audition, she was only excited to get a chance to meet the people at Marvel. She had no idea she was up for the surprise of her life. It is interesting how a WhatsApp message can change someone's life altogether. Modern technology is changing millions of lives every day in different ways. While we are on the topic, WhatsApp is the preferred mode of communication for Hollywood stars and celebrities worldwide because it is convenient, secure, and offers exceptional privacy. Wow.
And this is very interesting, how technology is intersecting with the, films and acting and, people acquiring job through the technology. And definitely it's playing one of the leading role in our lives. And we can't imagine, our lives without the technology. So actually, if you forget your
You can, because you read a lot of books. So
I read that
you
on
can
mobile.
pass your time. Yes.
I read my books a lot on the mobile. It's not a good habit, but I can't help myself.
Yes.
So I'm also actually very much dependent on technology. And especially if you, leave your mobile at home, so you feel a mini heart attack, right? Because all your contacts are there and, you feel very empty.
And you don't want to
without
go over it over and over again as well. You're like, yeah, I've said them earlier, why didn't I back up and, all of that. But ladies and gentlemen, obviously, a miracle is just a WhatsApp message away as well. So please make sure that you check all your messages every single day. But thank you very much, ladies, for being with us. Wonderful to be in conversation. And for everybody who's out there, ladies and gentlemen, it's our social responsibility that if we see any sort of abuse, around us, please make sure that you report it and do something about it. But please make sure that you are not at least abusive in making sure that, somebody's abusing somebody else. Make sure that you control your limits, report it to the people who are responsible for that as well. Make sure that you write to us on our Facebook page, which is with the name of
World This Morning.
On Twitter,
World This Morning without the G.
Wow, Daily Motion and YouTube.
World This Morning.
And the fabulous repeat is going to be at 10:05. Till the next time, look after yourselves. 1, 2, 3. Good morning. Have a great day. Thank you.